Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 218 review. If you're a fan of anime content, subscribe for more. So we have Yorozu face reveal, and she is just vibing naked, as one does. And it says here directly that her curse energy output and reserves are among the best of the Heian era, though her efficiency of output is trash. But that sure didn't stop Bug Girl from being OP because she got inspired by bugs. And not just one bug, but the whole ecosystem. So whenever she woke up in Sumiki's body, she must have had her mind blown by non-bug power. But she probably looked for only bug-related knowledge. And apparently her bug armor was enough to fight against a group that stood shoulder to shoulder with Uro's squad. So after forging herself into Bug Terminator, she immediately goes to throwing hands with Sukuna. And I think the choreography of Sukuna getting decked in the face is pretty good. But on the great scrap scale, it's like a 7 out of 10. As for local Bug Girl is strong. Yorozu's output and speed are ridiculous. But let's talk about the fact that Sukuna turns this into a group fight and he summons the Madoka Deer. It's called the Tranquil Deer in this translation, but I like Madoka Deer. So this deer has RCT, and then she says the Madoka Deer canceled out the curse energy in her liquid metal, which just sounds like an application of the positive curse energy that the Madoka Deer puts out, and not directly neutralizing the curse technique, so I don't think this thing does anything to like a prison realm. Then Sukuna summons the Kangyu Bull, or the Piercing Bull, as it's called in this translation. This thing just full beams towards Yorozu, and she's able to stop the first charge, but she notes that this thing can only move in a straight line and it gets stronger the farther it charges. So I've seen some people say this bull is cheeks because it can only move in a straight line, except we really have to remember that the 10 Shadows is a group of Shikigami all jumping your ass at once. So when this thing is fighting you and you're fighting all the other Shikigami, the only thing I want to hear about Cheeks is Cheeks getting slapped. And speaking of getting slapped, Sukuna just air pockets his way up and slaps Yorozu with a max elephant. Now, I just pray to God that there is a maximum max elephant, or a myriad elephant as it's called in this translation. And max elephant is a goofy Shikigami, but so are Toad and Rabbit Escape. But Yorozu says that she will show him the nature of her heart and her love, and then Sukuna seems like he knows what love is, and Yorozu takes note of this. And yeah, of course Sukuna knows what love is. I mean, you can't really be the disgraced one if you had no grace. And I see people mention the twin theory all the time and whether or not Sukuna had brotherly love or something. Though the type of love they're referencing here sounds more like romantic love. Now, I did not believe this theory entirely at first. And while one of the original things that Gege used for the inspiration of Ryomen Sukuna, Jujutsu Kaisen had heavy mentions of conjoined twins, with the 2-chan board and the whole Kadoku ritual. And while that's pretty direct, that's not enough for me to believe it all on its own. But when Angel pulled out Jacob's ladder immediately after calling Sukuna the Fallen, and the story around Jacob's Ladder is all about 2 twin brothers. And not just 2 twin brothers, but the conflict around those brothers. And given how Sukuna treats Yuji, I would not be surprised if they turned out to be brothers. I made a video about this, and I'll link it in the corner above. I'm going to talk about it more here because I feel like it. And people always go to like the power scaling with this and say, oh, he killed his brother to gain more power. And yeah, he probably did, but that is a pretty surface level interpretation of this. And with how important family is in East Asian culture, killing your brother is such a disregard for others. And Sukuna implying here he knows what love is, and we know he didn't have a wife or children. I think this guy killed a family member, and like outside of a lover that he wasn't married to, or a Toto best friend, the options are pretty limited, and I don't really see the point of implying that he loves somebody if it's not going to be someone very close to him. Like if it's just a guy he was chill with, like, I mean, come on. I'm pretty sure many people are going to jump to Angel and Sukuna hooking up. And there is a clear, softer side to Sukuna than people really seem to talk about. I want to point to the Jogo scene, and I think we need to step back from the power scaling when we look at this scene and say, this guy is not trying to power scale Jogo, he is being nice to him. He's full of shit when he says he doesn't know what tears are. Sukuna has a backstory cooking, and whether or not it's a tragic one, there's clearly more to Ryomen Sukuna than simply being evil. And in chapter 214, when Sukuna is talking about stifling your misery, when Sukuna talks to Yuji one-on-one, he is like a completely different character in his interactions. He never gives Yuji props where he gives other characters props, but he's full of it because he has a complete disregard for everyone except for Yuji. Yuji is like the only character in Jujutsu Kaisen that Sukuna seems to truly dislike and be upset by. With everyone else, he talks about their strength, he compliments them, he kills them, he gets into combat, he just loves his life. But Yuji is like the only character that Sukuna has tried to kill that he just stops to explain his ideology to. Because Yuji gets under Sukuna's skin like no one else. And man, I'm gonna make a full video on this now because I love this. I'll just say it, I like the twin theory. I think it's a really good theory. There are a lot of theories in the series I don't agree with at all, but the twin theory, I think this one is excellent, and we have no idea who came up with it originally anymore. But to be fair, Sukuna and Yuji being directly related is pretty obvious. I mean, just look at them. Either they are literally related, or Gege just wanted to do some symbolism. And it makes the relationship between those two characters make more sense in retrospect if you go back and reread the story. And ever since like this whole Megami Vessel arc and the Bath arc have taken place, we get to see more on Sukuna's interaction with other people in his life. And these recent chapters kind of feel like a slight retcon to how we saw him in chapter 1, which I'm fine with because his character just has more depth now. But one of the first things this guy ever said in the story is, oh man, where are those women and children at? I'm gonna do so much killing. And that certainly gave the impression that this guy was someone who just went around killing people, but now we see him just tell people to scram. Though this wasn't unwarranted because we did see this personality shift start to happen as early as chapter 119. And he had just incarnated for the first time, so he was pretty manic. I've seen some people say that Mahoraga is dead. No, this is not stated anywhere. I guess it could be, but it's not a fact. This was a voided exorcism ritual as stated by Sukuna. And let's really think about this. Like, say you're exercising like Toad and an 18-wheeler hits it on the road. Do you think it's just gone forever and you never get to try again? JJK thought out the 10 Shadows. The 10 Shadows, you can't let somebody group up on it with you. It's a pointless ritual. You can't let an outsider help you. It's a voided ritual. I don't know how people think that you tame a Shikigami in the first place without killing it, because the Mahoraga sure never looked like it was going to stop fighting. The ritual itself is referred to as a technique, which this also lines up with the fact that Megami's curse energy changes when he summons the Mahoraga. But even with all of that, the ritual is not explained entirely. Do you just get it to 10% HP and then just throw Pokeballs at it for like 10 minutes? Or once you've just managed to beat its ass enough, does it just bow down like a Narnia animal? But the Mahoraga is pretty clearly tamed. I don't see how he would be able to summon the Dharma Chakra without it. And clearly one of Sukuna's hidden techniques is time related, because I don't know when he found the time to tame all of these Shikigami. Was it on the fish? Did he say, hold up Kenjaku, before I leave I have to do something out back real quick? So we have another chapter of Yorozu jobbing next week. No break. Thank God, because I just want to, like, having a break in this fight of all fights was just painful. And I'll be honest, I don't care at all about Bug Girl. Bug Girl, listen, Bug Girl is OP. Bug Girl is undeniably OP, but she is a bug. And I do not care at all for insects in my story. And speaking of insects, if you see people trying to scam you in my comment section, I do not do giveaways, and I would never ask you to message me on an app. End of story. So those are my thoughts on the chapter, and I want to hear yours, so let me know in the comments below. And if you like videos like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.